start.
ごきげんよう。
Good day to you is the standard greeting used here. No matter how many years pass by, this style of greeting still feels very awkward. I had responded to the greeting in order to stifle that awkward feeling, but the classmate who had spoken looked at me blankly.
えなになに違うわよね。
Their choice of words and manner were certainly what you would expect of a school for rich girls, but at their core, they were as innocent and cruel as children of that age. It seems they found it funny that I'd mistakenly thought the greeting had been directed at me. No, it might be the opposite. Maybe I should say that they didn't know what to do after being greeted by an introverted kid like me. No, judging by the looks of my classmates glancing this way over their shoulders and whispering to each other, there were even some who seemed to consider their refreshing morning ruined. I am depressing. Because no one likes me. So, trying not to get in the way of everyone's refreshing morning anymore, I entered the classroom in a low crouch. She's just crouching through the school.
Jeez.
Almost like I was cutting across the aisle in a movie theater while the movie was running. This is an all-dorm academy called St. Lucia Academy. It's not a school that just anyone can get into simply by passing a test. It's a hidden rich girls' school, known only to a select group of celebrities from various circles. For lofty nobles who truly wish their daughters to be brought up like saints, this is probably the ideal academy in which to protect them from the impurities of the common world. But at the same time, it was probably also a convenient place for nobles to confine daughters who they didn't want the public to know about. As well as an academy isolated from the impurities of the common world, it also held excellent potential as a prison school. I was truly among the latter and spent my days confined in St. Lucia Academy. As the weeks, months, and years dragged on at a mind-numbing pace. Really quick note, my high school was legit designed by a real prison architect. So...
what? A prison architect designed your high school?
Yeah.
Interesting.
So, just thought I'd put that out there.
I guess schools really are prisons.
In some ways. Of course, there weren't that many students like me, and you couldn't tell us apart at a glance. However, even if they didn't come forward, you could usually guess from their appearance. Because they were always hanging their heads all the time, with an expression on their faces as though the whole world had abandoned them. And every class had one or two kids like that, so even if they didn't speak up about it, you could guess who they were. So, even though I never confessed that I was one of those kids, at some point everyone in the class knew. Just like how the seriousness of your injury grants you status in a hospital room, here status is granted by the nobility of your birth. Those who aren't permitted to go out in public are probably nothing more than filth to them. They must think that getting involved with students like that would dirty them as well. Whenever such a rumor sprang up about a particular student, those fastidious girls would about-face and grow cold and distant, chasing that student out of all possible social groups. I have that to thank for this quiet and solitary school life of mine. Well, that's only if hearing people whisper behind my back, finding my things lost or broken all the time, and having everyone pretend like they don't know anything about it can be called a quiet school life.
Fucking Ava, man.
That's yeah. That's a really difficult thing. And especially because she doesn't really have a family. She just has Ava.
Mm-hmm.
You know? I must be wearing a weary expression already this morning. I can understand completely why my other classmates who had been enjoying a refreshing morning would want to click their tongues upon seeing it. Consciously trying to do my best to avoid tainting my classmates' morning, I quietly took my seat. Then, unusually, someone came to talk to me. It was the class leader.
ごきげんよう、白宮さん。朝からご機嫌斜めなご様子ね。ちゃんと睡眠は取られてる？何かご用ですか？学年発表会のアンケート、まだ提出してないの。後宮さんだけよ。 昨日までが提出日だったの。お忘れ？
I'm pretty sure I heard something about that sometime last week, but I think the questionnaire hadn't been passed out yet. All the necessary information would be written on that, so it should have been no problem to forget about it until it was handed out.
アンケート用紙もらってないですけど。
そんなはずありませんよ。寮長から全員にちゃんと配布されてるはずです。なくしてしまったならそうと素直におっしゃればいいのに。
なくしました。今すぐ書きますから。用紙をいただけますか？
Again. Either someone lost my paper or they intentionally didn't tell me about it, but I have no way of knowing who was behind that. In the end, treating it as though it was my own carelessness would settle everything more quickly and without any drama.
書いたらご自身で生徒会室のアンケートポストに投函されるように。うちのクラスだけですよ。夕べまでに全員のが揃わなかったのは。
As I hung my head at the class leader's scolding, I could hear the giggles and whispers of people watching, coming from no direction in particular. Ushiromiya-san did it again, because she never concentrates. She is unsuitable for this school. She has neither class nor manners. Sorry, girls, but I've dealt with much worse when it comes to unfair personal attacks. I froze my heart and let those arrows of ridicule pass by as I quickly filled out the questionnaire. That sucks, man. When I heard the news that Mom, Dad, Oni-chan, and all the rest of my family had died, I was in the house of my grandpa on my mom's side. The only survivor of the accident was Ushiromiya Eva. Only Aunt Eva. Even at the time, I hadn't really liked her. At a glance, she seemed to act kindly to me, but even as young as I was, I could see clearly that she was somehow belittling Dad and the rest, and I didn't like it. So when it was decided that Aunt Eva would take care of me, I was pretty miserable. It wouldn't have mattered if my nice Uncle Hideyoshi and George Oni-chan could have been there too, but I had hated the thought of living all alone with Aunt Eva. I had an honest talk with Grandpa about that, hoping that I could live with him. However, Aunt Eva was very insistent that she should be the one to look after me. Aunt Eva had no desire to remarry, so she said I was essential for the succession of the Ushiromiya family. Aunt Eva felt very strongly about the house of Ushiromiya. She firmly demanded to take charge of me right away, so that she could give me an education and lifestyle fitting for the successor. Complicated negotiations with lawyers apparently took place, but in the end I was forced to go live with her. After she took me in, Aunt Eva told me something. You must bear all the glory and history of the Ushiromiya family, ne? And in order to make you a fitting successor to bear that, your life from now on will be dedicated to studying like hell. Sacrifice the rest of your life for the Ushiromiya family. She was definitive about it. At first, I thought she meant exactly what she said, but I quickly realized that wasn't the case. Because even then, in Aunt Eva's eyes, the one most fitting to be successor was George Oni-chan, who had passed away. At my first meal, I was strictly instructed and interrogated about my table manners, and was forced to listen to her disparage Mom and Dad as though they had been neglectful in my upbringing. I also received the same strict instructions regarding manners at my first party, and I was insulted in public for my clumsiness and forced to endure insults to Mom and Dad as well. After that happened enough times, I finally came to understand. Aunt Eva didn't really want to make me the successor. She thought that one who was truly fitting to be the successor was George Oni-chan. She couldn't forgive the fact that I was going to be it. It was going to be me. So I was disparaged in front of a lot of people, humiliated. And she made it known far and wide exactly how inferior I was to George Oni-chan. Surely in memory of her dead son. No, she must still have been mourning his death. However, that wasn't something I could endure. I couldn't possibly live together with Aunt Eva. I would be eternally suffocated, continually compared with her dead son. Even as an elementary schooler, I understood that. I ran away from the house of Ushiromiya and tried to go to my grandpa's house. However, Aunt Ava had already foreseen that. Now, thinking back on it, she might have been luring me into escaping. I was caught by the guards and brought back. And for being a coward who had disgraced the Ushiromiya family crest and attempted to abandon the name, I was punished. In a way that makes my whole body shake and shiver just remembering it. How should I describe what Aunt Ava was like when she punished me? Frenzied? Gleeful? Sounds like Beato. The anger and sadness of losing her beloved son, and well as her hatred and pain towards the fact that I was going to steal the headship her son was meant to inherit. And the dark pleasure of being able to let those feelings out on me. I was pummeled with all of those negative emotions at once. Then, all of my free time and freedom was taken away, and I was put under round-the-clock surveillance. I may have lived in a gorgeous mansion and been dressed in expensive clothes, but my heart and my dignity were being trampled upon, and I was the Ushiromiya family's slave, its cattle. Compared to that lifestyle, the derisive laughter of my classmates here even felt refreshing. It was no match for my heart. After filling in almost all of the fields of the questionnaire with nothing in particular, I folded it up and put it in my pocket. Because if I left it in the desk, I might lose it again. After dropping it off in the box in the student council room during lunch break, I finished lunch by myself, as usual, and headed behind the school building, where no one was around. Only the time I spent by myself could protect me from the derisive laughter and whispered comments. Since I was hated and didn't have a single friend, my time alone was the most kind to me. After checking the surrounding bushes to see whether some malicious classmates were hiding and threatening my time of quiet, I finally relaxed the tension from my entire body, knowing that I had gained some true peace. Then, I let out a sigh. It lingered, heavy, as though it was the first time I had breathed out today. My previous favorite place behind the vegetable garden storehouse had been found out by my classmates, and now they would mess with me there, so this was my new lunchtime hideaway. There was nowhere to sit behind the school building. I crouched down against a wall in the shadow of the bushes, opened my bag, and took out a book with an elaborate, old-fashioned binding. Just glancing at it, you would probably think it was a religious book written in the Middle Ages or something. This isn't a book. It's a diary. Of course, it's not my diary. There aren't any special things worth writing about in my daily life. Every single day is just gray, cold, and dry. When nothing changes from day to day, there aren't any notable changes worth writing down. This is the diary of Maria One-chan, who I had been very good friends with. Oh. Wait, did she have that on the island with her?
Mm-hmm.
So when the police went to investigate the island, they must have brought this back.
Yep.
She was 3 years older than me and a bit of a funny person, but One-chan was always a warm, wonderful cousin. She would always grab me by the hand and invite me to play some fun game. I remember that getting to see her was the most enjoyable thing about family gatherings. Though I preface this with, for an elementary schooler, the handwriting that greeted me when I opened the diary was fairly accomplished, and while admittedly it had been written using every other line, the pages were dense with text. Was she just hopelessly obsessed with jotting everything down in her diary? Probably not. To her, writing her daily life down in a diary was probably like having a conversation with another part of herself. Interesting. Where have we seen that before?
I wonder.
So rather than a journal in which the events of her day were simply listed, Maria One-chan's diary was written like a letter to another Maria, telling her of the events of that day. Oh. The plot thickens. I had found this diary among her belongings after her death and had secretly taken it home. At first, I had felt that reading someone else's diary might be boorish and had been satisfied to just keep it by my side, but I was unable to resist turning over a page or two, and slowly but surely I found myself reading through it. And now, she had become my only friend. I gently opened the page with the bookmark.
マリアお姉ちゃん、お待たせ。また、お姉ちゃんのお話を聞かせて。
At the same time, a very, very soft breeze blew, tickling the pages, and I thought the open diary might have sparkled faintly. The weather is good today. Maria One-chan loves wonderful rays of sunlight, so I'm sure she's in a good mood. On the open diary, no, in the world of the
What? What? What?
In the world of the diary. No. I just had a thought, but I don't think it...
What's your thought?
So, the world of the diary, does that mean that the events that we've been seeing have been taking place in her diary?
What do you mean?
No, that can't... I'm not sure how to formulate what my thought is here. Like, just... It could be just the wording of it, but the fact that the phrase is the world of her diary just makes me think, like, there's... Assuming that there is some sort of magic here, like, the diary has a connection to Rikenjima, has a connection to the events that we've been seeing, as if everything has been taking place in the diary somehow. I don't know.
That's a good thought.
It doesn't really make a lot of sense.
But the question is, how would, like, all four events be written in the diary if Maria was dead? Like...
I don't know.
But you might be onto something.
Let's keep moving. Maria One-chan showed herself.
Oh.
She had been 9, I believe, when she died. So her appearance was already younger than mine. But I call her One-chan, and in turn she finally calls me just Ange.
Oh, Ange, 今日は来るのが遅かった。
Oh, I guess it's Angie. Okay.
お昼混んでた？うん、いつも混んでるわ。仲良しグループたちが席を陣取ってる上に、食事を終えた後も席を塞ぎ続けてるから、食堂に行くのが遅くなると致命的ね。
This is just sad.
今日は片付けの当番だったから。
This is doing my emotions a little dirty right now. It's, it's choking me up a little bit, actually.
Yeah.
マリア、ご飯食べるの早い。早く食べ終わるとその分いっぱい遊べるな。
Maybe she noticed that I was still bitter about how that duty had been forced upon me, shortening my lunch break by a bit. Maria One-chan brightly changed the subject. Grateful for that consideration, I responded that I eat slowly. Maria said something about how she'd teach me the trick to eating fast and cheered me up. I read it in the diary. No, I heard it from Maria One-chan. She was once ranked number 1 among the girls in the speed-eating leaderboard in her grade's newspaper. She had been very proud of that, but had apparently been a little disappointed that her mother, Auntie Rosa, hadn't praised her very much for it.
じゃあ今日のお話を始めるね。昨日はどこまでお話をしたかな。ここまでよ。マリアお姉ちゃんが作太郎をプレゼントしてもらったところまで。作太郎の話を聞かせてくれる約束になってたわ。作太郎のこと話すよ。作太郎はね、とっても可愛いぬいぐるみなの。エンジェもきっと気に入るよ。うん。そのお話を聞かせて。マリアお姉ちゃんにお話を聞かせてもらえる昼休みだけが学校で一番心を許せる時間だもの。マリア話す。作太郎はね、
Watching Maria One-chan, who's always in a good mood, makes my heart feel warm as well. As I listened to her tale, I began to get absorbed into her world.
Happy birthday, Maria. ごめんね、帰りが遅くなって。
ママもお仕事お疲れ様。マリア、ママが忙しいの知ってるから遅くなっても泣かないで待ってた。おとなしくテレビ見て待ってた。
うん、マリアは偉いわね。お行儀よく待ってたご褒美に今日は何でも好きなものを注文していいわよ。もちろん食べきれる分だけだけどね。
今日はコーンスープをオニオングラタンスープに変えてもいい？
ええ、いいわよ。
200円高くなるけどプロシュートピッツァに変えてもいい？
ええ、いいわよ。本当に食べられるならね。でもいっか、誕生日だしね。ちゃんとお行儀よく待ってたいい子のマリアにご褒美もないとね。
じゃあデザートにエンチェラードチーズケーキもつけていい？あとねシェフの気まぐれフルーツサラダにキッズフライドポテト、メロンソーダも飲みたい。マリアはいい子、マリアはいい子。ママに褒められた。
ちょっとはしゃぎすぎよ。もう少し静かにしないと他のお客さんに迷惑よ。
When Rosa gently admonished her, Maria stuck her tongue out and eased up a little. But it seemed that she was having a hard time repressing her excitement at being able to eat out with her mother again after such a long time. Today was Maria's birthday. Rosa always spent Maria's birthday at a wonderful restaurant. When Maria had still been in kindergarten, they had sometimes invited other kids from the neighborhood over and had a party at home. Rosa would make a wonderful cake and homemade sweets and decorate the house herself, making it a huge celebration. But after they moved and Maria no longer had any friends in the neighborhood, Rosa had started splurging at expensive restaurants instead. However, today they were instead in a normal family restaurant. It was also a little late in the day for a kid like Maria to eat there, even with a parent. Rosa had actually gotten reservations at a fantastical place that Maria would have absolutely loved. Of course, she had also prepared a wonderful cake with Maria's name written on it. But Rosa just hadn't been able to finish up her work and had been forced to cancel. Since that had turned into a local family restaurant, Rosa felt a little indebted to Maria, so she was prepared to spoil Maria a bit and let her have whatever she wanted tonight.
マリアお姉ちゃんってあんまり食べないんじゃなかった？こんなに頼んで大丈夫なの？
あんまり食べられないけどいっぱい並ぶのが好きなの。お誕生日のテーブルはね、赤、青、緑に黄色、いっぱい色とりどりだと幸せになれるの。
そうね、お誕生日のテーブルってカラフルだと幸せな気持ちになれるわね。うちの誕生日はマリアお姉ちゃんのところにはだいぶ負けるけど、駅前のケーキ屋さんで買ってくるケーキがいつもとても華やかだったっけ。
Angie thought back to her own birthdays nostalgically. Even though Dad was busy, he sometimes came home just to show up at my birthday party and then went right back to his company. I was sad at the time, but now I understand how important I was to Dad.
I thought she was thinking back to her birthdays with Ava. I was thinking, oh, she gets untied from her chains for 24 hours.
Yeah, I was thinking the same thing too. But then she said nostalgically, and I was like, alright, it's gotta be before that. Of course, Mom also took very good care of me. In particular, she always had a really good sense in birthday presents, and sometimes arranged for them several months in advance. Even though we always sent an invitation to Battler Oni-chan, he didn't get along with Dad or something, so he didn't always come. So when he did come, I was really happy. The birthday parties when the whole 4-person family was together made for fun memories that I'll never forget.
エンジェのお誕生日もとても楽しそうだね。 バトラとルドルフおじさんがすごく賑やか。わいわいキャッキャ。あ、バトラジュースかけられてる。
Maria One-chan peeked into my happy memory. It's kind of embarrassing looking at myself sitting quietly there wearing the origami helmet that Dad had made as a party trick. In my hand was a paper gun that Battler Oni-chan had folded for me, and Mom was taking a commemorative photo. It was the happiest moment of my life.
でもマリアお姉ちゃんの誕生日だって負けてないよ。それで今日もらえるんでしょ、作太郎は。
すっごく楽しみだった。ママのカバンの脇にあるプレゼントの包みを早く見せてもらえないかなとずっとワクワクしてた。
Sakutaro, am I saying that right?
Sakutaro?
Sakutaro is the name of the stuffed animal that Maria One-chan was to receive as a present today. For quite a long time, Auntie Rosa had been making a stuffed animal to give to her as a birthday present today. It was apparently to be a cute lion stuffed animal. And Maria One-chan had already given it the name Sakutaro, even though she hadn't received it yet. Today, she was looking forward to meeting Sakutaro, even more than celebrating her own birthday. Auntie Rosa ran a clothing design company. It did actually seem to have a brand name too, for what that's worth. I think it was just called Auntie Rosa in English. The slogan was supposedly, "I can't forgive the way I was before today." I don't know what that means, but that sounds really important, so I'm gonna
like
lock that away.
Slogan.
I can't forgive the... Oh, I guess, like, because it's clothing design, like, they got the clothing and it, like, changed their life kind of thing?
Yes, it's stupid.
Okay. Unfortunately, I've never met anyone who knew of that brand name. Maybe it wasn't that famous. So, in any case, Auntie was pretty skilled with her hands. I heard that some of the clothing she wears she made herself, so making a stuffed animal had to be well within her capabilities.
手作りのぬいぐるみなんてちょっと素敵。ところで作太郎って名前どういう？
本当はさくらってつけたかった。でもオスライオンのぬいぐるみだから男の子の名前にしなさいって言われたの。だから男の子っぽく太郎を加えて作太郎。最後の「う」はいつの間にかなくなっちゃった。
なんでさくらなの？
テレビアニメの主人公の名前。
There was apparently a popular anime at the time whose main character was a girl named Sakura. The fact that she'd simply borrow the name of a character she liked was, how should I say it, as innocent and cute as you'd expect from her age.
ママ作太郎まだ。作太郎も一緒にお誕生日混ぜてあげたい。
プレゼントはいつも最後でしょ。今広げると汚しちゃうわよ。食事が終わるまで我慢しなさい。
じゃあ早く食事を終わらす。
As soon as she proclaimed that, she started tearing into her meal. Auntie Rosa scolded her, telling her not to make a scene. It seemed that she had seen it coming immediately. I had been thinking that if I were as straightforward as Maria One-chan, that probably would be exactly what I would do as well. So it brought a kind of warm smile to my face when my expectations weren't betrayed. In the end, Auntie Rosa succumbed to her daughter's eyes sparkling with anticipation, cleaned up the table, and took out the long-awaited wrapped present.
ハッピーバースデー、マリア。
Weren't the statues in front of the chapel lions?
Yes. Yes, they were.
I wonder if there's any significance there.
Wow, you have a good
なかなか
memory.
時間が取れなくて、あまり上手に
Yeah, I'm
作れ
kind
な
of
かったんだ
surprised I
けど。
remembered that too.
You're remembering things left and right. You remembered something last time that I was like, wow, you remember that.
I haven't, like, it's been a long time since I've watched any of the videos either,
Mm-hmm.
like the earlier
Interesting.
episodes, so.
ママの手作りなら何でも嬉しい。作太郎、作
Auntie Rosa spoke slightly humbly, but Maria One-chan was ecstatic even before opening the wrapping. I could really understand that feeling. It's not a matter of quality. Just the fact that it was a handmade present was more pleasing than anything.
開けてもいい？開けてもいい？
本当はお家に帰ってからにしてほしいんだけど、ちょっとだけよ。ちょっと見て挨拶したら一度しまうのよ。ちゃんと挨拶するのはお家に帰ってからにするのよ。ここはお外なんだからはしゃいじゃダメよ。約束できる？
約束する。
Oh dear God.
Maria violently shakes the controller.
だから開けてもいい？開けてもいい？ママ。
はいはい。ちょっとだけよ。
Before Auntie Rosa finished her sentence, Maria One-chan started unwrapping the present. And straight away, a yellow and orange peeked out. What appeared was a slightly blank-looking stuffed lion, with cute round eyes and a cute white chest. It was about the size of a small pillow. It looked pretty big, held by a short person like Maria One-chan, but it probably wasn't that large. From the perspective of someone who didn't know better, it would probably look like something cheap bought from a department store or something. But to Maria One-chan, it was her mother's handmade stuffed animal, the only one of its kind in the world, and irreplaceable.
Sakutaro! Sakutaro!
Oh, that is a good.
And
That's
before
a good.
this, and before the screen cracks and it gets drenched with blood.
And before Rosa starts slapping her. Oh, that's really nice, though. That makes me feel all warm and fuzzy.
かわいいかわいい、すっごくかわいい。ママありがとう、ママありがとう。お仕事で忙しいのにこんなにかわいいぬいぐるみを作ってくれて本当にありがとう。
そんなに褒められるとかえって恥ずかしいわ。全然時間が取れなくて大したものを作れなかったの。本当は抱えきれないくらい大きなのを作るつもりだったのにね。
これでいい。このくらいの大きさならいつも一緒にいられるもん。一緒にお出かけできるもん。さくたろお姉ちゃんだよ。
本当に可愛らしいぬいぐるみね。この子がマリアお姉ちゃんの一番のお友達のサク太郎なのね。
学校には一緒に行けないけど、お家ではいつも一緒にいる一番のお友達なの。サク太郎はね、とっても無垢で可愛らしくて、そしていつもマリアに優しくしてくれるの。マリアに元気がない時には励ましてくれて、マリアが元気な時は一緒にいっぱい遊んでくれるの。だからマリアはもう寂しくなんかない。ママが仕事で忙しくて一人ぼっちでも寂しくないし、学校で誰も遊んでくれなくても全然寂しくないの。ねえ、さくたろ、うりゅう。
At school, Maria One-chan was in similar circumstances to me. Compared to the other kids in her class, Maria One-chan's tempo was always a beat too slow. Her impressionability and way of thinking about things was a little peculiar, and she was a little too idiosyncratic to blend in with them. Her grades were low as well, and yet she was talkative when it came to her specialist field of the occult, which led to her being treated like a weirdo by everyone else in the class. If she touches you, you'll be cursed. Stuff like that. Everyone in the class acted like she was gross, made fun of her, and avoided her, it seems. Boys who bumped into Maria One-chan would start wiping that part of them off against other boys as if they'd gotten something dirty on them. They would pick up her stuff between pinched fingers like it was something filthy and chase the other boys around with it. As for the girls, they appeared to find even speaking to her unpleasant. They ignored her completely, giggling and sneering at her whenever she made a mistake.
いじめっていつの時代も似たようなものなのね。人間ってほんと進化しないの。滅べばいいのに。
マリアはいじめられて悲しいけど、でも仕方ないと思うの。
Why don't you just go and die forever?
Oh, no.
仕方ない？どうして？
だってクラスには一人いじめられっ子がいないといけないってルールなんだもん。
最低なルールね。それを作ったやつの後頭部をレンガで殴ってやりたいわ。
Precarious.
もちろん角で。
もしもマリアがいなくなったら、きっとマリアの代わりに新しい誰かが新しいいじめられっ子に選ばれる。マリアが我慢することで、マリアはその子をかばってあげられるの。
It's a good way to look at it. As she said that, she smiled faintly. Maria One-chan's way of thinking really is unusual. According to her, there is always a witch residing in the place called school. No, she says that anywhere that a lot of people gather will most certainly have a witch residing there. The witch tries to make the students perish by disease or accidents so that she can steal their souls. She sometimes also corrupts the souls, leading them down a path of evil. Maria One-chan told me that an angel came, not content to let that happen.
天使様はね、魔女をやっつけようとした。でも魔女は兄弟で、戦いは7日7番に及んだんだけど、それでも決着しなかった。疲れ切った魔女は休戦しようと言ってこう提案したの。
前に聞いたわ。私はこれまでクラスの生徒の半分を病気にしたり怪我をさせたりしてきました。でもその代わりに残りの半分の生徒は病気と怪我から守ってきました。だからもしもクラスの一人を私への生贄にいじめ、その他全員の生徒を病気や怪我から守りましょう。だったっけ？
おう、天使様は考えたの。クラスの半分が不幸になることに比べたら、クラスの一人だけが不幸になることの方がずっといい。それに魔女はその強力な力で他全員の生徒の安全を守ってくれるという。
クラスに40人の生徒がいるとして20人の犠牲者が1人に減って19人が助かるというわけね。
Interesting.
実に合理的な提案。
I wonder if this fairy tale has some kind of motif. If it's a creation of Maria One-chan, a 9-year-old girl, that would be pretty impressive.
天使様はその提案を飲むことにした。だから一人の生贄によって19人は救われた。
This definitely bears some significance about what's going on in the story right now.
I think so too.
Especially like 19. Obviously 18 is the number of people on the island, but with Ange there now,
Mm-hmm.
I guess it's 19.
Mm-hmm.
Although she's not a piece. Ah,
だからマリアの役割は大切なの。魔女は19人を守ってる。
私たちが生贄になることによってその19人に感謝された覚えはないけれど。
Maria One-chan's thinking is too compassionate. The miserableness of our situations is very similar. And yet there's a difference in our inner peace just because of a small difference in our way of thinking.
それでマリアお姉ちゃんは悲しくないの？
悲しくなんかないよ。だってこれからはサク太郎が一緒だもんね。サク太郎、ウリュウ、マリアと一緒なら僕も元気。
Okay?
ほら、サク太郎も元気って言ってるよ。
Maria One-chan held up the Sakataro stuffed animal, playing both sides of the conversation herself. I don't understand. Wakaranai. But that's exactly why I want to reach Maria One-chan's level. It's what makes me so strongly interested in her tale and her words.
エンチェは一人ぼっちだから辛い？
辛いわ。でもマリアお姉ちゃんとこうしていられる時間だけは別。一人ぼっちじゃないから。
ならサク太郎もお友達になればもっと楽しくなるよ。じゃあ今日からサク太郎もエンジェの新しいお友達ね。サク太郎。 フリュー僕、エンジェのお友達？フリュー、エンジェ
Skillfully moving the stuffed animal like it was a puppet, Maria One-chan made Sakataro emote. She was controlling him, but the charming way he waved his short hand and cocked his head to the side made it feel like he really was a new friend called Sakataro. Of course, if you were to look at it with cold eyes, you would only see Maria One-chan comforting mopey old me with the stuffed animal. But that stuffed animal had definitely been imbued with a soul, the soul of Maria One-chan's love. So I accepted the existence of a being called Sakutaro inside that stuffed animal.
ほら、エンジェもサクタロに挨拶して。ほら、サクタロもご挨拶。フリュー？エンジェ、怖い人？
As Sakutaro timidly looked at me, he unexpectedly met my gaze and hid behind Maria One-chan's back in surprise. Maria One-chan really is good at playing with stuffed animals.
大丈夫だよ、サクタロ。エンジェは怖くないよ。とっても優しい女の子だよ。どうも、サクタロです。ウリュウ。
はじめまして、サク太郎。エンジェよ。新しいお友達になれて嬉しいわ。
I held out my right hand as though asking for a handshake, and Sakutaro's short hand was stuck out towards me and lightly touched my index finger. After all, the size is all wrong for a handshake between a human and a stuffed animal. This greeting by touching each other's fingers was our handshake.
これでもう、エンジェとサク太郎はお友達だよ。一人よりは二人、二人よりは三人の方がもっと楽しいよ。
Hate to break it to you, Maria, but funner isn't actually a word, so...
うりゅー
Maria One-chan had given the name Sakutaro to the stuffed animal she was going to receive on her birthday, and had warmed and expanded his existence in her heart for a long, long time. Therefore, even before she had met him, his existence had been sublimated into a personality.
Does that sound like anything else we know? Existence sublimated into personality?
Well, it was interesting. One of the earlier lines. How do we get to the, the previous lines? Is it right click?
Yeah.
Let's see. So I accepted the existence of a being called Sakutaro inside that stuffed animal. Accepting the existence of someone had definitely been imbued with a soul. I think there's parallels to Beato here, but I'm not quite sure how.
That's what I was thinking too.
Something that's probably to be discovered yet.
The soul of Maria One-chan's love. Somebody's love gave Beato a body and a soul.
Kinzo?
Maybe?
Huh. So, yeah, I'm still not sure how that would all work out. But it's definitely an interesting thought.
There are definitely parallels.
Yeah. It could also be not love that imbued Beato with a soul. But, I mean, we have yet to see whether she's putting up a farce or if she's actually just cruel and evil like the way she appears to be. From the very first moment they met, the two of them were already friends. Of course, I don't think anything could be as personified and loved as Sakutaro was. But that wasn't anything extraordinary in Maria One-chan's eyes. She loved the things she owned very much, treating them just like friends or beloved pets. Maybe it was partly that Auntie Rosa hadn't let her keep a pet. Or maybe just her innate desire to treat things as though they were precious. Maybe it was that she was so isolated she had been forced to find friends closer to home. Because of all those various circumstances, this wasn't anything extraordinary from her perspective. Yet even so, Sakataro... No, maybe I should call him Sakataro, like Maria One-chan. I'm not sure about the difference in pronunciation there. Does the U add a sound at the end?
It might make
it...
it...
the O?
I think it makes it more extended.
Okay. It was certain that Sakataro was a stuffed animal. No, a friend who was more loved than anything or anyone.
Moshi, Mamaよ。上機嫌ね。お友達が来てるの？サクタロと遊んでるの。サクタロったらね。
It was already past 9 at night. Rosa had asked out of surprise since this wasn't an appropriate time for a friend to be over. But when she thought about it, Maria didn't have any friends who would come over to play, did she? Even so, to think that she would have so much fun playing with that stuffed animal. Rosa was very pleased that Maria had liked her birthday present so much.
ごめんね。ママ、どうしても仕事が片付かなくて、来期のラインナップが難航してるの。ようやく少しずつ注目され始めたみたいで、なんとかここで期待に応えられるインパクトを与えたいのよ。今夜もお泊まり？いいよ。頑張ってママ。そうありがとうねマリア。ママのお仕事のことを分かってくれてありがとう。
Rosa was very surprised that Maria had accepted with such indifference that she couldn't come home. Telling Maria that she would be coming home later staying overnight had been a heavy burden for Rosa. Maria would start crying about how lonely she was on the other end of the phone, and it took a lot of time and effort to calm her down. To think that Maria would accept it in such high spirits. Is this also thanks to Sakataro? Rosa was once again pleased that she had given such a good present.
明日のこの時間には帰れるようにするわ。明日は一緒に夕食をとりましょう。マリアは夕食はまだよね。コンビニでお弁当を買ってきて食べてね。お菓子はダメよ。ジュースもダメよ。お釣りと一緒にレシートも入れておくのよ。はい。サクタロとお買い物、サクタロとお買い物。あ、こら、サクタロはダメよ。お留守番させなさい。
From Maria's manner of speech, Rosa got the feeling that Maria had been going shopping with that stuffed animal without her knowing about it. Rosa's forehead creased, and after sourly telling Maria that she was absolutely not to, she hung up.
おー、サクタロとお買い物ダメだってママに言われた。
That pumpkin looks familiar.
Oh no.
Wait, and the two bunnies too.
What? The bunnies?
The two bunnies, it's like the Chiester sisters.
Oh.
I wonder if these animals in this picture actually mean something.
マリアとお買い物に行けない。一人でお留守番、寂しい。なんでママ、サクタロとお買い物行っちゃダメなんて言うんだろう。おお。ウリュウ、きっと僕がマリアと一緒にいるのを見られると恥ずかしいんだよ。恥ずかしい？なんで？ママはよく僕を外に連れて行っちゃいけないって言うし、マリアのことをよくもう何歳になったんだからダメとかそういう言い方をするし。マリアはサクタロと一緒で全然恥ずかしくないよ。僕はライオンだけどぬいぐるみだし。ライオンでぬいぐるみだけどマリアのお友達だよ。だから一緒にお出かけしよう。ママがいない時だけ内緒で。ひょっとしてサクタロも恥ずかしい？僕は恥ずかしくないけど。ウリュウ、ちょっとお外の人が怖い。そっか。じゃあサクタロが怖くなくて一緒にお出かけできるようにする。マリアに任せて。便利なのがあるの。
Maria started fishing around her messy room. Rosa often told her to clean it up, but she was just bad at cleaning up her room. However, she knew more or less where everything was. So much so that whenever Rosa would take it upon herself to tidy up, Maria would have trouble finding things.
あったほら見てサクタロナップザック
Maria proudly held it up high. Sakataro looked at the gaping, open knapsack and shifted uneasily.
マリアもしかしてこれなら一緒にお買い物に行けるしサクタロも怖くないよ
Maria held Sakataro up and started stuffing him into the knapsack. At first she tried to stick him in head first, but then he'd be upside down and suffocate. So she pulled him out and tried pushing him in again, feet first.
きつい狭い暗いほら大丈夫だよ頭を出せば狭くないし暗くないから怖くないよ景色もいいよ本当だこれならマリアと一緒にお買い物に行っても大丈夫大丈夫だよ今日のお夕食は何がいいかなさあお出かけしようサクタラ
マリアお姉ちゃん楽しそう。
とっても楽しい一人だったら寂しくてつまらないことでもサクタロが一緒なら何でも楽しいどんな人間のお友達だって夕方になったらお家へ帰らなきゃならないでもサクタロは帰らないしいつまでも一緒にいてくれる一緒にテレビも見るしお布団の中だって一緒だし雷が怖い夜には手だって握っていてくれるクローゼットやベッドの下のお化けだって追っ払ってくれるんだよサクタロ頼もしいマリアを怖がらせるお化けは僕ライオンだから勇気を出して追い払っちゃうよガオー
They were so close that it made me a little envious. I'm supposedly older than Maria One-chan, but I can call her nothing else. Even now, she stands above me like an older sister, and I am yet to reach her level. If only I had a friend close by like Sakataro.
マリアもサクタロもエンジェの身近なお友達だよいつもマリアたちはエンジェのすぐそばにいるでもエンジェの魔法が弱いからこうしてマリアの日記を開かないと知覚できないだけ
知覚？マリアお姉ちゃんは難しい言葉を知ってるね。
According to her, this world is full of magic and spirits, as natural and nearby as a light breeze.
風って普段は気にもしないし見えもお線香の煙とかがたなびくとそれを見ることができるんじゃない？
そうね。そしてそれは見えなくても普段から私たちの身近にあるものだわ。
そういうことマリアもサクタロもいつだってエンジェのすぐ近くで一緒なんだよ神様や精霊、守護霊も私たちのすぐ身近にいるのでも意識しないと存在を感じられない
And you just think you're getting a headache when actually a witch is pounding you on the back of the head with a pipe.
目では見えない風のようにでもそれは確実に私たちの身近にあって魔力という煙がたなびけば
I had thought that I could only meet Maria One-chan when I opened this diary, but from what she said, she was always with me and I could meet her at any time if I truly desired
マリア
to.
は自分の日記に日々の記録と一緒に自分の魂のかけらを残しておいたの
Huh.
だからこの日記にはマリアの魔法の力が宿ってるのでもそれはとても微弱なものでエンジェ以外の人には誰も感じ取れない
私にだけはわかるの？
だってエンジェはマリアと同じで魔女の力を宿しているものエンジェだってちゃんとお勉強すればきっと将来立派な魔女になれるんだよ
魔女。それは楽しいのかしら？
楽しいよそうすれば日記を開かなくてもマリアやサクタロがいつも身近にいるのがわかるようになるよそしたら毎日がとっても楽しくなる そしたらエンジェにマリアは他にもたくさんのお友達を紹介できるよ。そしたら毎日が忙しくてとっても賑やかになるよ。
それは楽しいかもしれない。マリアお姉ちゃんが残した魔導書も持ってるわ。今度真面目に読んでみるわね。そしたら私も一人ぼっちじゃなくなるかな。
Maria One-chan and Sakataro had said that at the same time, happy that I had developed an interest in the world of witches. With half of Sakataro's face peeking out of the knapsack on her back, Maria walked through the late-night shopping district in high spirits. It was only to be expected given the time. Everyone in the shopping district was either a shop owner lowering the shutters on their shop or an employee rushing or else staggering back home. Amidst all that, Maria, in the best of moods as though she was hiking, probably stood out a great deal. The occasionally passing employees glanced backwards over their shoulder at her with the eyes of someone seeing something out of place. Office ladies giggled at the cute stuffed animal poking its head out of the knapsack. The supermarket had been closed for a while by this time. However, the recently popular convenience stores stayed open until late into the night. It was very convenient for Maria, whose mother's return was often later still. Maria took the knapsack off her back and, hugging it close to her chest, she headed over to the sweet buns corner. She pointed to each of the sweet buns she had eaten before, explaining to Sakataro that this one was delicious, and that one was pretty good too. Sakataro seemed to be enjoying it a lot.
マリアは3色パンにする。これ一つでね、あんことクリームといちごジャムが食べられるの。でもたまにウグイスあんだったり白あんだったりするの。あんこは1種類でいい。うりゅう、いろいろ入ってて面白そう。うりゅう。あとはマリアはフルーツヨーグルトにする。フルーツ入ってるけどお菓子じゃないよね。うん、きっとママも大丈夫。サクタラもどれか欲しい？売りは？いいの？お金は大丈夫？うん、全然平気。ほら、聖徳太子なの。うん。だからサクタラにも好きなものを買ってあげられるよ。一緒に食べよう。サクタラもヨーグルト食べる？
When Maria made to grab another one of the same fruit yogurt, Sakataro tilted his head as if he was a little worried.
でも僕大きいのは食べられないから小さい。おお、じゃあこの小さいお菓子ヨーグルトは30円だね。安い。うりゅ、僕はそれでいい。マリアと一緒にヨーグルト。
What's the equivalent of 30 yen to dollars?
30 yen is like 3 cents.
That's also in 1986 money.
Or wait,
So
100 yen
is like $1, right?
is like $1.
But adjusting for inflation, it's probably a little higher.
サクタラと一緒にヨーグルト。
Maria put the 3-flavor bun and the 2 yogurts into a shopping basket and brought them to the register.
30
man-
yen, sorry, 30 yen would be 30 cents. I'm stupid. It would be closer to 30 cents.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. The man working the register, previously in charge of the tobacco shop that had been in this spot until last year, rang her up.
お嬢ちゃん、この時間によく見かけるね。偉いけど、今度からこの時間のお買い物にはお母さんと一緒においでね。
ママがいいって言ったから大丈夫。ママはいつもお仕事で帰りが遅いけど、マリアたちは寂しくなんかないの。ね、サクタロ。うりゅー。
そっか、そりゃ大変だね。ほら、ジュースを一本おまけしてあげるよ。
The man working at the store took a can of leftover soda or something from behind the register and packed it into the bag with everything else.
おじさん、ありがとう。うん。よかったね、サクタロ。うりゅー。
Since she had been told not to buy soda, she couldn't take it back home. So she decided to drink it on her way back and not bring the empty can back home. With the plastic bag with the sweet bun in it hanging from her elbow, and hugging the knapsack with Sakataro in it in that same arm, the two of them walked home drinking the soda.
柚子胡椒ソーダって微妙。サク太郎も飲んでみる？うりゅうりゅうりゅうりゅうりゅうりゅう。わあ、うりゅう。マリアひどい。まじゅい。だよね。
Of course, it's not like she could actually make a stuffed animal drink soda. She just put the can to Sakataro's mouth and pretended to tilt it. But it was great fun for Maria to share the taste of this weird drink that she had gotten for free with Sakataro. There was a huge moon in the sky. At times, that moon had been clouded by tears when Rosa had stayed over at work, and Maria had thrown a tantrum and been scolded by her mother. But this moon was very warm, and it seemed to watch over the two of them as they enjoyed their trip home by themselves. Maria and Sakataro. Ange watched the two of them go from behind. What a heartwarming sight. The sight of Maria, One-chan, and Sakataro walking away together made it very difficult to remember the several occasions on which she had spent long nights crying because her mother hadn't come home. I couldn't admit this to Maria One-chan, but if I had been in the same position, even if I had given that stuffed animal the name Sakataro, it wouldn't have been anything more or less than a stuffed animal. Anyone can make a relationship which only distracts you from your loneliness, but Maria One-chan was different. Sakataro wasn't a stuffed animal or a toy. He was a real friend, and far from just distracting Maria from her loneliness, he changed the nights without her mother into a fun time where they could play all by themselves. Was it because Sakataro was a special stuffed animal? Because her mother had made it herself? Because it was very, very cute? Probably not. If there is a secret here, it doesn't lie within Sakataro. I think it probably lies within Maria One-chan.
これがマリアお姉ちゃんの言う魔法の力なの？
I just wanted to say that last track reminded me of Clan Ad.
Oh
The
yeah,
music. Little
I
bit.
agree.
おお、魔法を知るということは、今まですぐそばにいたのに気づけなかったたくさんの友達に気づけるということ。まるで新しいおもちゃ屋さんが近所にたくさんできるみたいに楽しいこと。
If I too locked up in an academy without a single friend, had the same kind of power as Maria One-chan, I wonder if I could make my days just a bit richer. I wonder if I would become able to honestly shed tears on the nights I feel like crying, and crack a smile when the nights are gray.
うん、できるよ。エンジェはできる。だって、エンジェにだって魔女になれる資格があるもん。
魔女になる資格？
マリアも魔女になれる資格あるんだよ。だからまだまだ勉強中の修行中なの。きっと素敵な魔女になってほうきでお空をかけてケーンで虹を描いて飴玉を空から降らせるの。マリアはきっとできるよ。そしたらエンジェにも見せてあげるね。きっとそれは素敵な夢の中のような光景だから。
Maria One-chan said that, making an absolute promise with her smile. There's no way we can become witches. But when I listen to her speak, I can believe that maybe we really could. Because the fact is that on this troubled night, when not a single flower of smile could bloom, her magic had certainly given birth to a smile.
魔女になれるかな？
なれるよ。エンジェは少し年齢を重ねちゃったから魂が少し重力に惹かれちゃってる。だからマリアよりも修行は大変かもしれないけど、でもきっとなれるよ。だってもうエンジェは魔法の一端に触れてるもの。
私が魔法？
Sorry. Angie's, hair pieces, I know where I recognize them from. They remind me of Kotomi's.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, that's, I got things mixed up.
うん。だってほら、もうこの世にはいない私をこ こうして呼び出して語らっているよ。
They really do, huh?
魔法なの？
うん。私が日記に残した魂のかけらをエンジェは魔法で膨らませて私を蘇らせてる。さっきも言ったよね。こうして私と再会して会話ができて時に笑顔を見せられるんだから、マリアお姉ちゃんが保証する。
お姉ちゃんはさっき言ったわ。私は日記を開いた時にしか会えないと思ってるけど、本当はいつも身近にいるって。私に魔法の力がもっとあれば、それを見て今こうしているようにお姉ちゃんと会話ができる？いつでも？
いつでもお話できるよ。朝のおはようの時だっていつもそばにいるし、授業中だってそばにいる。退屈な授業は私とお話しして気を紛らわせようよ。食事の時には話し相手になれるし、お昼休みだってこれまでのようにいつも一緒にいようよ。放課後だって一緒にいるし、もちろん寮に帰ってからだって私はいつもそばにいる。日記を広げた時にしか私を見てくれないだけ。
日記を閉じてもマリアお姉ちゃんは私のそばにいてくれるんだよね。
いるよ。だからエンジェが私を見ようとして、そして話そうとしてくれれば、私はしっかりと見て話そうとしてくれれば。
私やってみる。
簡単じゃないよ。いきなり上手くなんてきっといかないよ。
分かってる。きっと簡単じゃないと思う。でも私マリアお姉ちゃんみたいになりたい。
おお、わかった。じゃあ私をよく見て。しっかり見て。ゆっくり目を閉じたり開いたりして。いきなり長くつむっちゃダメ。私の姿を瞳に焼き付けては、それをまぶたの裏に染み込ませていくつもりで。
やってる。
まぶたを閉じても私をイメージできるようになったら、そのままゆっくり柔らかく目を閉じていて。どう？まだ私が見えている？
多分見えてると思う。
じゃあ一度目を開いて。いよいよ本番。心を落ち着けたら日記を閉じて。その時一度マリアの姿は消えてしまうかもしれない。でも焦らずに心を落ち着けて。そしてまぶたの裏に染み込ませた私を逆に瞳に染み込ませていくつもりで、ゆっくりと虚空に私をイメージして。私を虚空に見て。
大丈夫。じゃあ閉じるね、日記。
Slowly, I closed the diary. When I closed the diary, a grey reality filled with dull air unfolded. Of course, Mirio Nei-chan's form disappeared. Give it all you've got. Have courage. Take the first step into the world of witches. I felt like Mirio Nei-chan was cheering me on inside my heart. Cheering me on? Really? Isn't that just what I'd like to imagine? No, that's not it. I just convinced myself that it is, and that's why I cannot see her. Maria Onei-chan is always by my side, and even now she's definitely there, cheering me on to do my best. And I can hear it. So I mustn't ignore it like it's my imagination or the inner voice of my own heart. Believe that Maria Onei-chan is there. I mustn't doubt. I believe. Onei-chan said she's always by my side. I must not doubt that. But as I face that empty space, that empty back wall of the school building, amidst those almost heartlessly boring rays of sunlight, calling out her name was so much easier said than done. The chains of common sense which had clung to me until today sneered at me, telling me that calling out to the empty air was ridiculous. It was almost like being told to take a step forward off the roof of a skyscraper overlooking a sea of lights. Oh, I mean, she did do that though.
Yeah.
Right?
Mm-hmm.
Maria One-chan was telling me that it's alright, that I can do it. Stop thinking that you might fall or that it would be too foolish to take a step off a roof, and free yourself from those chains of common sense. I studied my breathing. I concentrated my mind. Make the form of Maria One-chan you can see vividly on the inside of your eyelids rise to the surface in the empty space before you. Understand magic and see One-chan.
Maria, お姉ちゃん。誰かいるの？
Suddenly answered by the sound of rustling bushes and a wild cry, I came to my senses. Apparently, I hadn't been the only one behind the school building. No, I'd been so immersed in the world of the diary that I hadn't noticed that someone else had come afterwards. I recognized a group of 3 beyond the bushes. They were girls from my class. It felt as though they had come behind the school building to gossip about someone or talk in secret. I hurried out of that place. Because if it became known that I had been alone in a place like this, mumbling to myself, it would probably create more things for me to deal with.
言ったよね。言ったよね。マリアお姉ちゃんとか言ったよね。
やばくない？心霊とか見えちゃってんじゃないの？
後ろ宮さんって面白い。
Ugh. I could hear the shrill, loud laughter from behind. Irritated and feeling that Maria One-chan had been made fun of, I left that place at a quick pace and then a half run once I turned the corner. And I might have made it to One-chan's world with just a little more time. Frustrating, aggravating. Why does everyone get in my way? I've never gotten in their way, not even once. I ran and ran, but I still felt as though I could hear their shrill laughs.
Next time on Umineko,
Whew.
we're back to 12 years later.
Yes, sir.
But until then, peace.
Fare thee well.